Hi and welcome to another edition of This Woman Can. I am your host Janice Sutherland, and it is my mission to educate and equip ambitious women to excel in their careers and become impactful leaders, creating more wins in their life. Now, what you may not have known, that is prior to my becoming the leadership coach and the work I do currently, I was the CEO of a multinational telecommunications company. In fact, I was the first woman to head up the industry in my ancestral country of Antigua and Barbuda. And as a woman in STEM, the STEM field, that made me an exception. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with the term STEM, it stands for science, technology, engineering and maths. And these are all fields predominantly led by men. You may also hear the acronym STEAM, so STEAM, and the additional A stands for arts. As I said, women are working in these fields are often a minority, but it is incredibly important that we increase female representation within all of these fields. Why? Well, STEM is the driver, the engine of the economy. It's where innovation occurs, it's where creativity is allowed, and it's also the place where we as women can make a difference. We can solve the problems of the world, and that's why it's so important to get women into those STEM industries. According to the 2016 Global Gender Gap Report from the World Economic Forum, 16% of women globally, that's globally, compared to 37% of men graduate with a degree in STEM, in a STEM field of study. As I said, the science, technology, engineering, or mathematics. Now, this exclusion of both women and girls has really important implications, not only for scientific research, innovation, and development, but also for women's economic participation and inclusion. A further 2017 report estimates that 85% of jobs that will exist in 2030 haven't been invented yet. And many jobs that exist today will be lost to automation. And that's before the pandemic coming in. And that most jobs of the future will require some facility in STEM related subjects. And if women are being included in the employment and economic future tomorrow, they must also be included in STEM fields today. In terms of statistics and the gender gap, depending on the field of STEM that you look at, there is an absolutely great variation in workforce participation. Overall, women hold about 47% of all jobs, but of STEM jobs, women only hold 24%. And yet by discipline, there's great variation. For example, the life sciences, biology, biological sciences, women are represented at almost at the 45% mark in the workforce. Whereas in the engineering field, which is the lowest percentage, we see the lowest percentage of women in the workforce, close to about 12%, and for computer sciences, just over 20%. The gender gap is real in the workforce. It's also real in terms of educational attainment. Now, there are some key factors perpetuating gender STEM gaps, and I'll just go over a couple of them for you. First of all, we have the obvious one, gender stereotypes. STEM fields are often viewed as masculine, and teachers will take it straight back to school, and parents often underestimate girls' maths abilities, and that can start as early as preschool. We've got male-dominated cultures. Because fewer women study and work in STEM, these fields tend to perpetuate inflexible, exclusionary, male-dominated cultures that really aren't supportive of or attractive to women and minorities. Then we have fewer role models. Girls have fewer role models to inspire their interest in these fields, and we're seeing limited examples of female scientists and engineers in books, media, and popular culture. There are even fewer black role models in maths and science. And then we take it back to school, we have maths anxiety. Teachers who are predominantly women often have math anxiety, which they pass on to girls, and they often grade girls harder for the same work and assume girls need to work harder to achieve the same level as boys. And that's not all, not even that. Not all, once we make it into STEM, there's a challenge in actually keeping them in the field. There's even more research that indicates that half of female scientists leave their job after their first child. And we see similar trends in other STEM industries. And the research is really very, very clear about why women leave. It's not just about the lack of parental support or childcare, but they can also face poor working conditions. There can be tough work-life balance issues. There's lack of recognition and opportunities for advancement. A more masculine, male-dominated workforce that does not support and recognise the contributions of women is also a factor. And this comes up in almost every report that you can imagine. And literally, there are a dozen reports over the last maybe 5 to 10 years, the last decade. Women who persist in these fields, there's a reason why they do it, and often that's because they identify with science and engineering as part of their identity rather than feeling forced or pushed into the profession. And that really does come across in the interviews. You'll hear the This Woman Can interviews over the next few weeks as I interview a cross-section of women across the STEAM fields. They have a vision and goals for who they want to be in the future. They're able to see the kinds of options they have and navigate the workplace. Giving women equal opportunities to pursue and thrive in STEM careers helps to narrow down the gender pay gap. Because it's worth noting here that a typical STEM worker earns 2/3 more than those employed in other fields. If that was an incentive, I don't know what else is. It enhances women's economic security and ensures a diverse and talented STEM workforce and prevents biases in these fields. And the products and services they produce, there's a female centricity to them as well. So the upcoming episodes of This Woman Can, as I said, will aim to highlight a wide variety of avenues available to women with different scientific STEM endeavours, ranging from arts to the STEM fields. Each episode will include interviews with current women involved in the STEM fields, Caribbean women, as well as informative features to increase exposure of women in science and act as a motivation for other women just like you who may be considering entering the STEM fields, either as your first career or a pivot as a new career. So make sure you subscribe to hear all the future interviews, and I can't wait for you to hear your feedback from them. And remember, if I can, you can, this woman can. Take care until next time.